Like Gore Vidal, I never wanted to do anything else but go to the movies. Perhaps because Werner Herzog, the brilliant German director, was right when he said that movies can transmit ecstatic truth, a special truth full of deep human meaning. Well, my name is Jim, and these are the Academy Movie Junkies. This is our studio, and we're very proud of it. We like it. And in here, we're making a series of programs for the internet about movies. And I'll ask my on-air colleague, Brian, to explain a bit about the movies.
Thanks, Jim. Well, what it is we try to do here at Movie Junkies is we take a look at films dealing with drug addiction and alcoholism, films generally dealing with darker or heavier topics, and we try to relate them to different topics in recovery. And what Jim and I do, as well as all the junkies, is we go around campus and we talk to people here, at this treatment facility, Gatehouse Academy, about what their view is on the film or on that specific topic.
This boy who's currently being looked after.
Anything you do say can be used as evidence in any later court appearances, do you understand?
Yeah.
Tell me if you agree with this. This boy who's being looked after, he knows who you are. And you've done some bad things, sweetie.
Come outside!
Good nose, King.
He really needs somewhere, Mum. There's things going on.
What things?
Things.
It's the armed robbery squad, mate. We're not actually going to shoot you.
Can you hear that?
Pull my finger. Guys, you just missed him.
That's all right. Like you better.
What do you think we should do? 2 police officers were shot dead. Can you tell me where you were last night?
You know the girl. What's her address?
Maybe you should start taking your pills again.
What's her address?
If you ever want to talk about anything or anything, I'm there, right?
Everything knows its place in the scheme of things. Things survive because they're strong.
You've got to do something about Jay. He's got to go.
You've survived because you've been protected by the strong. But they're not strong anymore.
Oh my goodness.
I need to talk to you.
Well, Brian, what I found really interesting about Animal Kingdom was, once again, the Australians can come up with a movie that seems so spare. I think, as you mentioned, very little, if any, music. Characters that are so believable. And in this case, a crime family. But when you look at this family of very low-level kind of criminals, run by a matriarch, a mother, Jackie Weaver, who was nominated for Academy Award. Excellent portrayal, for sure. But interwoven in that whole, their whole business is drugs, whether it be heroin or marijuana or cocaine. That's part and parcel of their lifestyle. And it seems to me that when I was in heavy drug use, hanging around the kinds of people that I hung around with, that always went with a crime of some sort. Always went with drugs. And that's the theme we kind of want to follow today. So what do you think?
Well, like you were saying, I said, Jim, something I did pick up on the film was the complete lack of score to the film and how barren it was in a way, and how that, the silence almost drove a tedious score to it in a way. You know what I mean? It added a tedium to the whole film, and how you, viewing it, you almost knew the characters were doomed. And I do think it was a very powerful portrayal of the criminal lifestyle, especially how it affected a family and how a family made its living through that, like you said, on a low-level style. And For me, relating this to myself, when I think about it, I know whenever I was involved in drugs, there was always some criminal aspect going on, whether it be drug dealing, stealing, hurting people, wherever I could, sticking people up wherever I could, because I wasn't the best stick-up kid in the world, because I'm kind of identifiable when it comes down to it. But no, crime is almost always attached to it, and there's almost always a downfall when it comes down to drugs. There's almost always some kind of legal repercussion, that or death. As they say, in recovery, jails, institutions, and death is where we end up. So I know we're going to be talking to some of our staff here at Gatehouse today and hearing some of their pasts and what that looked like for them, some of our staff that's in recovery. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
Once I ran out of drugs, it was desperation that I had to have more, and I didn't care what I had to do to get it. And I basically I wasn't the type to shoplift and then have to go sell that and then take the money to the connection. I basically went straight to the bank where the money is.
When you did use drugs, you kind of went nuts, right? If you like it.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe one of the things that saved my life, because I would do such crazy stuff. I never ended up on the streets using for years and years and years. Unlike my sister did, and she would use and drink and eventually was killed last year by a car out here, drunk on Highway 93 by the Jack in the Box. So I think if I would have been someone that just did little, petty crimes and got in and out of jail, I'd be dead right now.
I was entirely miserable at my treatment center. I was lonely. I felt like no one could relate to what I was going through. The one night, although I decided that I was going to drink, I didn't want to, but it was a decision that I made. Because I was in treatment, I didn't have any money, and so I figured I probably couldn't be able to get alcohol or any sort of drugs in the town that I was in. It was a small town. So I figured the easiest way to get loaded would be to break into houses and find alcohol there. Around 10 at night at that time, and so I found a garage with a fridge, and I broke in, and I then, feeling the guilt of losing that sobriety time, which I had over 6 months, I needed to get completely obliterated. I needed to get wasted. I needed to just forget everything. I broke into a different garage looking for liquor, and the cops were called, and they just started, chasing me. And so I ran through the town and avoided the cops for a really long time. Ended up breaking into another house and stayed in there for a while, and it was completely insane. It didn't seem bad at the time. It just seemed, this is my goal, to get drunk, and it was like living in a dream world where nothing actually, it was lawless, completely lawless.
I found kind of there's a level of fearlessness that comes along with coming into recovery, even after some of the things that we've committed. And there's a level of, they say we will not shut the door on the past nor regret it. You know what I mean? And I think we can really see that tried and true with some of our staff, and I think some of our residents are kind of coming to find that for themselves. And this has been a really powerful segment to see people kind of be able to talk about some of the things that they did in the past. Whether they're not the greatest things. There's some shameful stuff that we do to maintain our addiction. But today in recovery, we have to look back on that and reflect and realize it's somewhere we don't want to go back to. So.
Well, what's very important there is to understand that it isn't us that did the deeds; it's the drugs, it's the disease of alcoholism or addiction. But in these kind of crime situations, these kind of criminal enterprises, you do see a lot of drugs just because it's, as we said before. And I was just taken with the whole, again, you overuse the word authenticity, I suppose, but the mother and the way she said at the end there, you know, talking to the police, saying, "Look at sweetie, let's understand, Jay is gone," when the one boy had given state's evidence, or whatever you would call it in Australia. Anyway, without going into the story, it's a very, very good film, and I agree with Brian. The comments from our people are excellent. Once again, the notes, they will help you understand more about alcoholism and drug addiction.